it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm here today with another lap book flip through. I'm just feeling so inspired by making these lap books lately and creating personalities for them, so I just had to make this one that I'm calling the Eclectic Art Student. So this one is made inside another of these lovely Golden Home and High School encyclopedias. This one with the Mona Lisa on the front with all the crackles and, you know, the kind of weatheredness to the painting. It's very visible and pretty in this text. Hopefully you can see it on the textbook. So I have here on the front a real wooden broken paintbrush that's been snapped in two and wired through the cover on the book. I sort of felt like it was like a bit of a metaphor for the experience of art school and, you know, discovery and going through the different, you know, kind of hills and valleys of life when you're learning about things and you're embarking on an art career or a creative study. So yeah. There's a little bit of gilding around on this book in different areas. It is two signatures. I left the back of the text as is because I just love these texts. This book, let me see if I have my ruler here. So the pages kind of jut out from the top and the side, but not from the bottoms, because you wouldn't want it to kind of, you know, bend up the pages at the bottom. So the height of the text itself is, let's see, 10.5, and the width is 7 3/4. So there's a few things jutting out here, some coffee dyed eyelet lace, some paper ruffle. Yeah, so I think we can hop into the book now and take a look. So I've created sort of a profile at the front of the book. Again, here is our vintage photo of our eclectic art student, and she's here. She's standing in front of a bicycle outside of a home, a brick home, and I've created kind of a series of tuck kind of spots in the front using folder here. I've added an eyelet tab. I'll pull everything out so that I can show it to you. So excuse me. So at the back we have this tuck spot. This is a long tuck spot here, then a pocket here and a pocket here. So the other things that are used to adorn the inside is, this is the original cover of the book, but I've added some nice paper over the binding that's just this fun like paint splattery watercolory paper. This is a little tag with an eye that's surrounded by pearls. This is from the paper Cameo. And then I've also used throughout this book sentiments and papers from a Stamperia collection that's called L'Atelier des Arts, I believe. Art has a lot to show, and it has some little colored pencils and pencils on it here. So I will show you everything that we have tucked in. So in the back here, I like to kind of build a little bit of a life or a personality for the character that is sort of the basis of these books. So this one I thought was something that she would have held on to from childhood. So it's from a book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Persig. If you haven't read this before, I recommend it. Maybe I'll try to go like a little bit. I'll read a little bit, but not the whole thing. It starts out by saying, mountains should be climbed with as little effort as possible and without desire. The reality of your own nature should determine the speed. If you become restless, speed up. If you become winded, slow down. You climb the mountain in an equilibrium between restlessness and exhaustion. Okay, so I'll stop there. And then the other things that are part of this little fold in here, photographer Ansel Adams to his friend Cedric Wright, and it's a letter written June the 10th, 1937. It starts out with, Dear Cedric, a strange thing happened to me today. I saw a big thundercloud move down over Half Dome, and it was so big and clear and brilliant that it made me see many things that were drifting around inside of me, things that related to those who are loved and those who are real friends. So it's, you know, I think some mindful kind of an inspirational, creative content, right, that would be special to her. The other thing I included is a page from the collection, the Stamperia collection, so Atelier des Arts, and it has a studio here. And on back, it's just very beautiful. It's a really beautiful collection. I had to include it here because I just thought it was perfect for an artist book. And then we have this little Viard painting that I've made a journal card out of that pops in here. And then this little bird, sort of bird sighting from a bird's sketchbook. So I've kind of made her like a she's interested in all kinds of art and creative, you know, things. And so I think you'll see some recurring themes throughout the book and also some kind of unique things. If you've ever studied art history, even like, you know, if you haven't taken a lot of art in school, you probably had some art history in your schooling, and you know that, you know, it begins basically with Egyptian art and then Byzantine art, and there's a lot of religious content in art for a very long time, like through the Renaissance, probably until maybe the middle of the Baroque period. So, all of that being said, you'll see a lot of different things. So I've started this out with some of my cabbage dyed paint by number, and I did that with the intention, hopefully, that you will go ahead and color or paint or watercolor on this paper. I think it's a lot of fun. There's a color guide at the bottom, and then it's numbered to show you what space it can be, what color. And I thought it was a fun activity that could also be part of this journal, that could be a creative journal for you, like a sketchbook that already has some inspiration in it. Then I added this very old and adorable like art that's from a children's book. Then a black page here because I like to do watercoloring, oil pastel, different things on black paper, gel pen. It's just a different kind of multimedia experience. Then I made this envelope from a piece of a vintage book about making clothing for dolls, and it's an embroidery pattern. And inside we have this little folded writing stationery. This is a piece of scrapbook paper from a Stamperia collection, and I just thought it went nicely with the whole theme. And that's a rusty paper clip holding it on here. So this is the first of the beautiful work that I've included in here. I added a lot of like pieces of art that I find personally inspiring and beautiful. So I love this one because I love the forms and how they're painted, and I love the relationship with the swan. I just think it's really beautiful. Then on back we have a bit of religious art, and here it says, "If there is feeling, there is art." And I think it goes without saying that just, you know, imagining the depictions of such like detailed figures from so long ago, it's always really inspiring to me, especially like the light hitting the folds in the cloth and things like that. It's just beautiful detail that I myself have spent a lot of time studying. So yeah, I had to include a bit of it because it's very important to an art student. This is some gray parchment paper. This is sort of a how to draw a face, and some pages are put in kind of jiggity jaggedy on purpose. I feel like this is a student who's, you know, experiencing a lot and just kind of trying to see everything and write it all down or document it all, pack it all away into a book during this time in her life. So then we have a Cezanne here, and just a beautiful, beautiful watercolory colors. And inside, this is just a piece of fun graph paper that tucks in for writing or drawing. Then there's some pages of this from the Book of Hours. That's another really good way to study early art and typography. You know, old hand drawn and written books on, you know, parchments, like, you know, it's just good history. Then we have some coffee dyed paper, and then some surrealism here. And on back I've added a library card from an old book. The pocket is from the Cezanne book, and we've got some stamps of the dates that it was checked out, and just a blank library card inside. And just some fun handmade paper from Koreatown in Toronto. I just love this paper. It's so nice. It's very cottony. This is a page from a How to Draw Trees book. And it has really beautiful typography, tree trunks in different mediums on kid finish illustration paper. And so they do a lot of drawing in these books. It's beautiful. This is a lovely Robert Bateman image of some deer in the snow. And I felt like snow is an important thing to include in an art student kind of book, because it changes everything in how you try to depict a landscape, the light, the shading. You know, you're adding kind of interruptive things like snowflakes in front of your subject matter. So it's a really interesting way to look at art. And then I've added this little snip down here that says art is not just a painting. And this is some peregrine falcon and white-throated swifts, also painted by Robert Bateman. He's a very popular artist in Canada. This is some of my coffee-dyed paper. This is some nice impressionism. These girls walking in a poppy field. This pocket is from the Stamperia collection and has like all sorts of paintbrushes and a palette and some buttons. And then in behind, we have more beautiful impressionism. And this is a cabbage dyed floral paper that I've included for writing space. Some tracing paper. This is some of my dyed paper. We have a Canada Goose, a Glenn Lotz page with the Canada Goose. Because I'm Canadian, I have to try to pack a little something from Canada in there for you. So this is some information about the Whistling Swan at Lake Erie, also from the Glenn Lotz book. And this is a little tuck spot made from actually a really beautiful mandala plastic bag, and I just made a bunch of ephemera with it recently. You're going to see a lot of ephemera like this throughout the book, and I loved making these. So this is watercolor paper, and I've used some waffle flower stamps that are designed for artists who are doing sampling of their paints. So basically you could do a color blend in the square, and then you could write your colors that you've chosen, you could write your notes. But I've chosen to use beautiful paints from Beam Paints throughout this book, just their beautiful gouache and watercolors. And you'll see, like, you probably can't see it on camera, I don't know, but when you turn these, you're going to see beautiful iridescence and sparkle, and just lovely tones. And so, yeah, that's a journal card. This is some coffee dyed shibori paper, and a little, these are like little paint tubes, and that's from the Stamperia collection. And then some mountains on a landscape have been painted here. This is a large piece of that paint splatter paper, and then lots of writing here. I left from the art books, I left a lot of the text in place because it's filled with a lot of just really inspiring and beautiful words. Like, it is interesting to contemplate an entangled bank clothed with many plants, singing on the bushes with various insects flitting about, and with worms crawling earth to reflect that these elaborately constructed forms, so different from each other, in so complex a manner, have all been produced by laws acting around. So, like, it's just kind of like inspired writing. Avocado dyed paper that I think is quite painterly. And then another little side tuck spot on this fun geometric colored page. This is the Stamperia collection, and this is another, let me just fix this up a little bit here. I missed a little tiny touch of glue, so we just need to glue that right down. There we go. So that's more of the plastic bag ephemera, and it says fun mandala, and that just tucks right on in here. There we go. And then another piece of the Stamperia collection. This is a cadmium yellow paint. And then a beautiful, and I would say very complex painting, again by Robert Bateman, of a duck flying over a very brown, grassy plain. And I just think it's so impressive to see such like fine details. And then courting swans, and we have here a swan. This is some of my botanical dyed paper. It's watercolor paper, and I'm not sure if it shows up on camera. You can see the fine stems of the plants that I've used, and then just some very watercolory feeling different colors and shading. This is from a vintage botanical book, which, of course, botanicals are a huge part of studying art. This is a pocket, I believe, or is this a glue down? I can't recall. No, it's a pocket. And it has another lovely little winter scene here, so you can tuck something on in there. Then over here we have this little bit of tempera paint on this little label. And then some of my Rorschach art on watercolor paper, done with really nice bright neon acrylics. And then just some fun kind of paint, dry brushing on this side. Then I've made a pocket here with some sprayed book page and this beautiful piece of art of a still life of fruit. And inside, another of those fun stamps that I've done from waffle flour that have all those paint colors, and I've added all colors of fine tech watercolor here, and these are an iridescent and very shiny, beautiful range of watercolors. More of the botanical book and paper, and then another little Stamperia label of tempera paint. More of that grassy field. This is from a vintage flower book, and I just really think it's a beautiful illustration. It's backed with packaging paper, and so I thought it would just be a nice little add in here. One thing I really like about these journals is that you can add papers of all different widths and lengths and sizes, and you can kind of position them in different ways so that it's a very nice presentation. More of that geometric shape paper with a jelly print pocket that I've made and some fun purples, and another of the large tags from the mandala paper or plastic. This is more avocado dyed paper. This is the rest of that Charles Darwin quote. And then we have a little elk here walking on some snow in front of this very, deep landscape. We've got clouds and mountain ranges and trees and snow. And then some cabbage dyed paper, shibori paper. This is Art is Everywhere. And our other Canada Goose friend, and lots of writing space on the back. And more dyed paper that I've made. Tracing paper. This is a page from a large Impressionism book. I always just love this image. It's just one of my favorite paintings of the Impressionists. It's just beautiful. It's a Gauguin painting. This is from a vintage book, and I made a little tuck spot out of it. It says an Abrams art book. Abrams is a large art book publisher. And, if you've studied art, you're going to be looking through a lot of art books. So this is a range of gold watercolors on a waffle flower stamp on watercolor paper. This is just a little fun piece of paper that I cut these two labels out of, but I loved that they look like frames. And I thought with the gold and the blue, it's just really beautiful on the coffee dyed paper. And I thought you could depict a little something in each of those frames. This is a tuck spot made from another of the mandala plastic tag pages and another of the waffle flower stamps with the golds and the pinks. They're again very, very iridescent and shiny. And then we have a lovely Elk in the Snow by Robert Bateman. Another of the tree, How to Draw Trees page. We have lots of pencils and things over here, a quill, and then more of that handmade Koreatown paper, and then a large pocket from the Stamperia art collection, and it's on a piece of a large painting from a surrealism book. And then this is another Stamperia stamp page on some weathered kind of watercolor paper. I left the jaggy edges because I just like how that looks. And then this is sort of a color comparison between three colors. This says share inspiration and you will be an artist. More coffee dyed paper. More of the Book of Hours, or the Book of Days rather. And then I've left this side blank so that you could paint on it or whatever you'd like. So it's just the text. This says make art and you will have wings to fly. And it's another of those pages on how to draw faces. More parchment. This is a painted book page from a vintage book. And I looked through like a 1960s yearbook that I had to try to find a girl who looked like our girl here, and I found her, and so I stamped this little frame around it. The funniest thing is I started just by looking for like facial recognition, but then I realized that the yearbook was actually from the same town that the pictures that I got in the estate sale were from, and I ended up finding a girl who had the same last name as the girl that I used as the personality for this book, so probably they're in the same family. So that was fun. This is some art museum photography with a beautiful like the ceiling that's painted here, and all the sculpture, all Renaissance art. And then 2 pieces of ephemera for writing on the back, both with waffle flower stamping and beam and fine tech watercolors. And this is actually a double pocket. We've got 2 pieces of book page paper there. And then this is some very Baroque, I think this is Caravaggio paintings. And down here a little label that says, "The art is the essence of beauty." And some more black paper. Another fun paint by number page that's been cabbage dyed. This is a little quote on some fun paper that says, "Make your life a true work of art." And now we're on to the second signature that's also housed in the same cabbage dyed paper for coloring along. And then living with art is the key happiness. And then some more fun surrealism. On this side I added these 2 large, these are from a digital collection of old seed packets, and I felt like the art was just so beautiful that this might be something that, you know, she may randomly have picked up when, you know, in a store or working in a garden, and she just, you know, really loved the art, so she would have hoarded them aside and put them in her scrapbook. This is just some sampling of watercolors from the Beam Paints collection, and they're just little writing space, and I thought it'd be fun to just kind of tuck them into these little tuck spots. Tracing paper, paper from the book of How to Draw Trees, beautiful typography, more black paper, coffee dyed paper, more of the Book of Days. And then over here we have a side tuck that's been made with some fun paintings from a book called Nova Scotia is a Painting, I believe. It's a book of like all Nova Scotia art. And this is another little waffle flower stamp with a range of watercolors from the Fine Tech collection that are iridescent. More parchment, and then a kingfisher here painted by Robert Bateman flying through these beautiful yellow leaves over the water. This is another waffle flower stamp with a whole range of colors, just a large journaling space. This has information on this short-eared owl, and this is another little Nova Scotia painting, little tuck spot. More of my dyed paper, just some fun rainbow color value paper. Objects with stories to tell become art. This is more botanically or eco-printed paper. Beauty is the soul of things. And then we have a little tuck spot here that I've left empty so that you can tuck something into it. This is more impressionism. Some of my blue dyed paper. This is a beautiful piece of art because it depicts so many things. Out this window you have very finely painted grasses, and then broken glass, and then the peeling wallpaper and the peeling paint on the window. It's just really beautiful. And then the young barn swallow. This is more like very fine rock that's been depicted in a barn, and then a wooden beam. This is 2 pieces of like silver paper. They're a lot of fun. I just added them because they're just a nice new texture and color. Sketch your life and put color on it. And those just both flip over and have brown paper on back for writing. This is a page from an art book that has The Wheel of Fortune by Edward Burne-Jones. And that's an oil painting, just really depicting different ways to see the human form, both clothed and, you know, the musculature. And then we have some pointillism by Seurat on this side. This is the Black Bow, 1882. And this is some shibori paper that's been coffee dyed. I folded it up to make a pocket and added another little tuck-in of art from the Nova Scotia is a Painting book. I just love the colors that are used to depict these homes. And then there's some information about Partridge Island. It's like a little verse. It's very beautiful. And that tucks in here and goes along with this painting from the same book. And this is some Nova Scotia history here. And then this is a waffle flower stamp with a whole range of colors of those beautiful Fine Tech watercolors again. And then an old image from a sketchbook. watercolor dyed, or sorry, avocado dyed paper. Vintage botanical book. This is depictions of how to draw caricature style faces and hands. Cabbage dyed lined paper. This is like a belly band made from the Nova Scotia book, and inside is another little paint sample, the waffle flower stamp. This is some references to Botticelli work, and I put one of my very favorite pieces of art, which is the Allegory of Spring by Botticelli, more famously known for the Venus. This work is also quite popular, and this is one of my favorite works of art of all time, I think. So yeah, I absolutely love her. I feel like she is just beautiful. They're all beautiful, but she just really stands out to me. Then we have a little pocket here that's made from some Roman style looking paper, and it has a little face depicted here of like a Roman sculpture. We all have an artist within us, and inside we have another little paint sample here of just some fun little paints that you can draw on or write on, and then another waffle flower stamp making this tag. Cabbage dyed sunburst paper. More of those hands and face caricatures. This is a little impressionist painting that I made a pocket out of, and another waffle flower stamp with beautiful ranges of beam paint on watercolor paper. That's some vintage botanical book, avocado dyed paper. This lovely depiction of these beautiful white cows, and I used another of these, and I used a color that kind of went with the cows, and then a pocket made with a still life of fruit and a little paint sample again. More of the shibori coffee dyed paper with another paint sample. And then this is about intimist painters. This is Maurice Denis, the Muses, Pierre Bonnard, the dressing gown. Just beautiful works of art from the modernity period, and some Toulouse-Lautrec. More of the silver paper. And then we have a little painting down here that makes a pocket. I just think he's very lovely. And then this is another of the little paint sample pages that I made with beam paints. Or no, sorry, those are fine tack paints. And then more of those grassy fields and broken window. More blue dyed paper. More impressionism. And some of my botanical paper. This is another of those color sample pages, and then this beautiful painting here, Impressionism. And then this is another page of the Painted Province, in Nova Scotia, the Painted Province. And it's just beautiful, all the colors of Nova Scotia and the Maritimes. Some more of my dyed paper, and then we have this plover here that's been painted by Robert Bateman. More of those yellow leaves over the water. Parchment, and this is a lovely impressionism painting of a tree, and a couple little samples of watercolor paper. Some has been painted on with silver and gold just to kind of go with the colors of the page. More of the Book of Days, and more coffee dyed paper, black paper, more of the tree illustration paper, tracing paper, another impressionism painting. And then this is another large sample card that I've stamped and added a couple of colors there. We have a paper ruffle stitched on the side, and some surrealism of a train coming out of a fireplace, and then a tattered page of the color by number with this little breathe the art around you. And over here, live with love and you will create art. And it's a little collage. So on the back here, I've done a little bit more kind of layering. So I've added, these are metal. They turn in so you can remove and replace the papers here. I've added, I believe 5 sheets of handmade paper. My handmade paper, it's very beautiful, has lots of little strings and things in it of hemp and plants. So then when you look behind it here, there's a few things going on. So we have another picture, I'll bring it up a little closer, of our same girl here, and she's sitting on some rocks. These photos are from the 1930s, I believe, or 1940s. I'll double check that in 1 second. It has the photo corners, and there's a gentleman standing behind her on the rocks. Then this is a double tag that I've added here, little ladybug stamp inside. Breathe the art of nature. And then in behind we have another large pocket. So this is one of my sketches from high school, actually, figure sketch. So I thought I would include that as a large drawing, a large writing journal card. And another page from the Atelier des Arts collection from Stamperia. Just love this paper. It's so beautiful. Pop that in here. And that here, and then that flops over it. And then let me just double check, the date is written on the back. Oh, sorry, 1948. So this is a 1948 picture. So yeah, I was looking for I was looking through funny, I'll just share quickly with you, like some of my old sketchbooks to think about things I would want to include in this book. So I found like a lot of my old figure drawing from, like, I believe this is grade 9. So I'm trying to draw here the movement of the elbow, rough practice note, ignore this. So I just thought it was fun to see, kind of like, I guess I was trying to draw, you know, all these different things. I'm trying to draw an arm here, and then I'm like, note, ignore this. And I started just drawing puppets on the hands that I messed up. So yeah, it's fun to look back. Another one. But yeah, this was, you know, grade 9 art class, and it really took me back. So I felt like, you know, it's a really fun kind of thing to create these books with these personalities, because you know, studying art and all the different things that you have to learn and depict, you know, from the time that, like, I think you start to get serious about it in high school, and like, you know, after that it just gets kind of, you know, more and more your own. You get to choose kind of your direction, but for a long time you sort of don't, because you have to learn all the basics. So I just wanted to share that a little bit about this book and the story that I've written about it. So I hope you enjoyed the flip through. If you're interested in this lap book, it is going to be in my Etsy shop by the time this is posted, and if not, shortly thereafter, within probably 30 minutes. So thank you again. You can find links to all my social media, including my shop, down below in the description box. I hope you have a great day and you do some fun creative stuff. Bye for now.